NewGenGamers.com.
The controls these games play and feel right. You know,
Absolutely.
graphics don't matter so much as getting the actual experience of the game.
If
And
control is tight, you know, I'd rather play a game that looks like this with tight control than play a game that looks great but you can't even move your damn character.
which we saw with the Atari 5200.
All
those
the
arcade
time.
those arcade ports were very faithful, but the games the controller just did not hold up, and it ended up hurting the system. So Coleco did it right on that front, and so we're going to move on to something else, and I'm going to do it one more time.
Today we're gonna have some victory.
Look at all those nice colors in that ColecoVision logo up there.
Yeah,
at
that's
the top, or the text.
Nice rainbow.
Nice rainbow of colors, letting you know what you're in store for.
Get ready, Cadet 1.
Ah, Cadet 1, you have joined the fine forces of the U.S. military. So, Victory, I've never seen this game before, so I'm excited. Are you excited, Internet crowd? I'm excited to see this. How about you, Ray? You excited? Alright, here we go. Ooh, I just noticed something, Ray. Are you using the roller ball?
Yes, I am.
Ah, the Coleco roller controller, eh? A very nice addition. You know, as we talked about before, it really brings the arcade home to the home console. And something that a lot of people, I'm sure, during the 80s really enjoyed. I know we're enjoying it today.
Oh yeah, this roller controller is awesome.
No doubt. So
for those of you that have never used a rollerball, the basic premise of it is to you have like a pool cue, I guess,
wait, let's make it
in the center of a.
Let's make it easier. Take your mouse, turn it upside down. If you have a classic roller mouse, notice how the ball is sticking out. Now kind of move your hand around on it a little bit, and notice how your mouse moves. Kind of the same idea. Your mouse cursor, I guess I should say, moves.
Yeah, pretty
But
much.
that's pretty much what you're looking at. Now, if you have one of those nice, fancy laser mouses, forget everything I just said, and just don't put it in your eye. Do not shine that in your eye, unless you're planning on not being able to see well, or if you get lucky, you'll see even better. You never know. Shot in the dark, people. Shot in the dark. A little bit
Cheap
of LASIK
LASIK.
surgery.
I don't think it quite works that way, but
But the way the roller controller looks, it's really nice. Like we said, the two ColecoVision controllers fit into this already. It just goes straight into your system, and
not to mention the large fire buttons.
no doubt, those things are huge and orange, so you can't miss them. So I want to talk a little bit more about how Coleco kind of screwed Atari, and let's face the fact, everyone was about screwing Atari in the 80s, which I don't blame them. They were making the money. You might as well get in on a piece of the pie. Now, the Coleco eventually released an Atari 2600 clone known as the Coleco Gemini. Now, what was nice about the Coleco Gemini, it had the 8-way joystick, the same as the Atari 2600, but it also had a 270-degree paddle on the bottom of the remote. So imagine the top has the joystick part, the bottom has the remote, and the side has the fire button, or whatever they call it. A fire button, right?
Yeah.
I think it was mostly called. And, I guess that gave you a better range of motion. You know, recently I played an Atari 2600 with a thing called a slick stick, which had 16 ranges of motion. And I'll tell you what, we played. Oh, I'm sorry, it had 8. Hopefully, Ron will. Okay, sorry. The Atari had 4 ranges of motion, so this having 8 ranges of motion was a far superior to what the Atari was providing at the time. And I do want to talk again about that slick stick, though. What was that game I played? I would think it was Quest. The one with the dragon ducks. What is that? The Atari classic, the Quest.
Adventure or Quest?
Adventure. Sorry, my bad. Adventure. And I'll tell you what, I didn't know that your man could go diagonally, but with that slick stick, that thing was sweet as hell. I was just cruising across that game. But anyhow, but once again, like I said, this clone was released, and this was after Atari sued Coleco, and I'm not sure. I'm not very good with the fine print, but basically there was a loophole where if you used off-the-shelf parts, you could create an Atari 2600 clone and sell it on your own. So I'm sure Atari wasn't very happy about this whole situation, but once again, what can they do? And by this point, everything was heading downhill anyhow.
And along with that, at this time, they were using a lot of the same computer components, whereas today the video game systems are so specialized. They have custom-built processors, custom-built video cards,
and patents out the wazoo.
And patents out the wazoo for every single piece of hardware and every little nuance that they can claim. And at this time, it was all new and everything was kind of open, so a lot of people took advantage of that. And as we see here, they did that with Atari system, and then it happened to them later. I mean, after they were out of the industry, but that Bit Corporation.
Yeah, Bit Corporation came along.
They came along and put together a Coleco the same way. So this was definitely a different kind of thing, and we'd have to see down the road how the companies would get a lot more forceful in protecting their hardware.
I like how Ray, when he explodes into a series of Cheerios that or hula hoops, if you will. But I just had to put that observation in there. But yeah,
well observed.
And like I said,
flying sleds.
Well, we already see it with the Coleco. They released the Model 1 that it supports the 2600 games, and then we see this also, the side Gemini.
The modules, they were just add-ons, off. Basically, you buy it like you bought another game or another peripheral for the system. And for people who weren't savvy to what was happening in the industry, because all this stuff was new, they wouldn't have any clue that this wasn't supported by Atari. They would just see it and say, well, hell, I can have so many more games on this system than I can on the Atari or the Atari 5200 or Intellivision or RCA Studio 2, anything else that was available at that time. And
this is time before the interwebs. We have to put ourselves back in the 80s. People weren't as well educated in these types of things.
Yeah,
so they
weren't
publications. Atari 2600.
All they saw was what was in the store. There weren't publications. There wasn't a culture around it. You just saw what was in the arcade, what your friend told you about, and what you saw on the store shelf.
And then you went and mowed so many lawns to get that thing, or you shoveled so many driveways. You begged mom and dad, and they told you to get a job at 13. That's the way the 80s worked.
Yep.
If you wanted to see E.T., you know how many yards you had to mow? If you wanted to play E.T. on your Atari 2600 or Coleco Gemini, I wouldn't suggest it. But people did. They went out and got it, or got it for free eventually, but that's a whole different story. But there's another aspect of the Coleco I want to kind of go into, which was the vaporware. Now, I'll just touch on this briefly.
Vaporware, of course, being a product that was rumored, assumed to exist, maybe would have came out, but just never saw the light of day.
And we still see vaporware to this day. We just call it,
yeah.
It becomes delayed games, or a lot of these titles, I'm not sure if they were just mock-ups that happened, but these were games that they said were coming out, even to the point where they would put them on the back of the Coleco box. And on a side note, remember how exciting it was to get that Nintendo and look at all those cool games on the back of that box that you could get eventually?
That was a big selling point with all these. That's how you found out about new games back then, was you looked on the back of the box or the posters that came included, and that's how you saw what the next big thing was. And so they were marketing and advertising games that wouldn't exist here.
Yeah, which is a shame, because a lot of people, I'm sure, got hyped, but we see games fall into limbo all the time. Even now in the year 2009, we see this happen.
The first electronic football games like these were for only one player.
End run.
But something was missing.
Can I play? Wait your turn.
Then along came head-to-head electronic football by Coleco.
Now we can play at the same time. I'm offense. I'm defense.
With head-to-head, you're really in the game. A power sweep. He fights through for the tackle. You pass. He blitzes. Intercepts.
This is real competition.
Why settle for a one-player game when you can have it all? Play alone, against the computer, or for real competition. Play
head-to-head.
Why settle for less?
New Gen Gamers.com.